In a 1992 essay for Harvard Business Review, Peter Drucker stated, "In a matter of decades, society altogether rearranges itself. Its worldviews, its basic values, its social and political structures, its arts, its key institutions. And 50 years later, a new world exists. And the people born into that world cannot imagine the world in which their grandparents were born into and the world in which their parents were born. Our age is such a period of transformation." So a couple years ago, shortly after moving to one of those 10 states, New York, I was walking through Washington Square Park, and I stumbled upon a tattered piece of paper. And I didn't know it at the time, but this small token of advice would change the narrative in my life. It would shift all my thoughts, intentions, and actions. All knowledge is valuable currency depending on the market. In other words, your knowledge is equal to money, but to be of value, you must spend it. I'd like everybody in the audience just for a moment to close your eyes. Take yourself back to your childhood youth. Recall the society that you lived in. Maybe think about your hobbies, the way you bought books, the way you listened to music, maybe the way you communicated with your friends, the car your family drove, possibly even the way you searched for a job. Now open your eyes. Each of us in this room individually harness powerful knowledge that can transcend even our own wildest expectations, the impact it can have. Knowledge is so powerful, and it is the most critical currency all of us can leverage. However, most of us won't subscribe to its clout. Most of us are saturated with information, but we're deafened by the noise of it. Most of us truly fear our abilities. Most of us are blocked and clouded by the judgment of others, operating in the dependency of others' capabilities. See, we, as a society, have the opportunity to change the world that we live in. Our knowledge is so powerful. About 50 years, I want everybody in the audience to think about the last 50 years. To say it's been groundbreaking is pretty wild. Some of the things that we have seen. Technology being at the core of the change. Technology is a game changer. It's leveled the playing fields. It's allowed us to freely find knowledge and have it distributed. It's now available to anyone, anytime, anywhere. We, as a society, have seen unprecedented changes throughout our lifetime. Digital transformations, advances in medicine, and platform technologies blow up, proving that if you apply knowledge, if you apply it today, you can actually change the society that we live in. So what I'd like to do is just take a peek at some of these modern day pioneers that have changed our society over the last 50 years. Jeff Bezos, not a stranger to anybody, e-commerce pioneer. Give me a little woot woot if you've ever purchased off Amazon. Not so long ago was Amazon a place that all of us purchased things from. Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, digital pioneers of Netflix. Anybody remember a small company called Blockbuster? Yeah, those guys were around about 15 years ago. A small door-to-door DVD rental company has now turned into the largest streaming content on a global scale. Sarah Blakely. So Sarah decided, hey, my clothes don't fit, so I'm gonna cut the feet off these tights, and I am gonna change women's shapewear for everybody. So perhaps some of us are supporting that industry tonight. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, consumer geniuses, if you will. They have been pioneers across hardware and software. I think their names speak for themselves. Facebook, Uber, and Airbnb. So a few minutes ago, I asked you guys to think about the society you lived in when you were younger. Now, I know there's some college folks in here, and there's some folks that might be at the tail end of their career. Think about these platforms. 4 pioneers that own no content and no assets. but they optimized because they figured out platform strategies. So, I want to be really realistic in saying this. Peter Drucker said, our age is such a period of transformation. And the reality is it is. But to remain representative of the masses, it's really notable to say, listen, whether the knowledge that you harness today, whatever you're passionate about, is powerful for you, whether it yields big or small, you have to have the appetite to serve that up. You have to have the appetite to take that knowledge and do something with it, because we are our future. We need to do that. I'd also like to take a look and say, whether that knowledge you want to apply is small, there's some brilliant pioneers out there that have also been in the last 50 years. Let's take a look at how their impacts have affected our society. Hans Hankamer. So he invented the Brita. How many people, again, a little woot woot, have ever used a Brita? All right, so he originally wanted to optimize tap water, but what he actually was able to do, and the pioneers after him, was to reduce single-use plastic for our oceans. Friedrich, probably one of my favorites, famous for really pioneering genetic sequencing. So finding the ability to really understand the makeup of our DNA has solved for and continues to identify things for ALS, for cancer, for possibly things like Alzheimer's. And something near and dear to my family is diabetes. If you can identify something before somebody is born, imagine the lives you can save. Theodore Seuss Geisel, again, who by a woot woot has a Cat in the Hat book on their shelves. So this guy, believe it or not, was challenged with creating poetry within 225 word constraints. What he actually did was he changed children's American literature forever. Daniel Ek and Martin Lawrenson of Spotify, again, I asked you all to think about the way you listen to music 10, 15 years ago. I'm sure there's people in this audience that don't even know what a Walkman is. These guys clearly didn't like them. Them and a lot of others that have really created digital streaming, changing the way we only listen to music, the way we actually have music stored in our phones. Spotify, big one. Ron Klein. So this guy created the magnetic strip on the back of a credit card. Who wishes that they thought of that 10 years ago and got the royalties? So not too long ago, cash was king. Ron Klein was able to change electronic lending and spending just by creating a magnetic strip on the back of a credit card. And last, but certainly not least, because this list is extensive, if you think of all the things over your lifetime that have changed because of individuals or small groups of individuals, Ricky Werman, Ideas Worth Spreading, he's the one that created this TED Talk. He's the one that got us all here today to share that with you. So, what does this mean? Why did we just take a mini history lesson and plow through this? The answer is very simple. All of you, me, and us. We are the future. Together, we contribute ideas, we contribute knowledge, and we develop things. However, we need to lean on our disruptive strengths and our unquenchable passions to serve this up to everybody else. I'm gonna ask everybody to quickly close your eyes one more time. Fast forward from childhood to today. Take into consideration some of the modern conveniences that I mentioned, and I'm gonna ask you guys a few questions from a modern marketing guru, Seth Godin. What if we saw precisely the change we sought to make and sacrifice that change? What if we did the work and shared the knowledge that matters? And lastly, what if today, just for today, we didn't settle? You guys can open your eyes. Here's the thing. Every day, we have the opportunity to wake up. We have the opportunity to do things that can change this world. You are not a product of your circumstance. You're a product of your decisions. So I want to charge everybody in this audience today with going home, finding out what it is that sets your soul on fire. Remember, that passion might be wildly different than the person next to you, but that's okay, it's not wrong. It just means you might be early in your journey. I want to challenge all of you to be the catalyst. Again, whether small or big, you can be the change for our future. And if you still think your idea is foolish, remember, everybody thought Noah was irrational until it started to rain. So, I'd like to thank my fellow presenters and everybody here tonight and leave you with this. All knowledge is spendable currency, depending on the market. But to be of value, you must curate it, evaluate it, and spend it. Thank you.